The second component of the administrative scale is called purposes. Let's define it. In this context, a purpose presupposes a lesser goal applying to specific activities or subjects. L. Ron Hubbard. In other words, the key difference between the first and the second components, please note this, because both have to do with goals. But there we have a goal, which is a long-term goal, and here the definition says it's a lesser goal. So you see, a long-term goal is sort of a locomotive tugging everything else behind it. But a purpose is a specific or known subject or a desired object of one's ambitions that can be reached or acquired. The main goal of the long-term purpose is probably, kind of impossible to reach. It's always this motivating, inspiring factor, moving you along, but in progress toward that main goal, a long-term goal. We can reach various understandable purposes. Let's suppose that there is a point A and a point B. What's the rationale? Sensible way to get from one point to the other? Well, obviously it's the straight route. So why am I telling you this? There is an interesting word, aberration. Actually, this is a physics term, and literally it means the following. It's a deviation from a straight line, so we can get from A to B, but not in a straight line, but rather deviating from the sensible, correct, and rational route. The same happens in life. Tell me, have you ever done anything nonsensical or irrational? I have. I don't think you are an exception either. And in this case, we could say that we are acting in an aberrated manner, right? So we had to get from point A to point B, and we were going in a skewed, slanted way, not in the direction from A to B. Why am I saying all of this? If a company or a person has some sort of a clear, understandable goal and is evenly going towards it by way of a sensible, correct route, then that motion is unaberrated. When the circumstances make us deviate, or when we ourselves deviate from the route set forth, then that's aberration. So, let's suppose we were to ask a person, we pose this question to him. What is it that you want? And let's say that he answers, I want to buy a car. What do we need next? Or rather, what do we need to ask him next? We have to ask him two questions. The first would be, what kind of car do you want to buy? That's logical, isn't it? And the second question is very often never asked by people, both to themselves and others. And that question goes like this: when do you want to buy this car? Because it's either going to be a Mercedes in 2 weeks or an old Volkswagen Beetle at the end of one's life. Please note that the effort required for those two scenarios is quite different. So when we're formulating the second component of the administrative scale, called purposes, we have to be crystal clear and understandable about formulating something for the future. Our guiding star in this case is the long-term goal. And that purpose is something en route to the long-term goal. It's a specific object of our aspirations. Remember, we showed you the long-term basic goal of IKEA as an example. What do you think could be their purpose, the second component? Of course, they set themselves a long-term goal, improving each and every day of many people by way of furniture, low prices, etc. But now that they have formulated this long-term goal, they would have to set some sort of a clear and understandable goal for some certain upcoming period of activity. Right? Obviously. And possibly it would go like this. Open another 200 IKEA stores in the Eastern Hemisphere, let's say. So we mastered the Western Hemisphere, and now we have to master the Eastern one as well. That was the second component, called purposes.